Hello, and welcome to episode 5 in this YouTube series, Being Effective with UpNote, all about UpNote and how to use it. This week is a little bit different from what was originally planned. I was going to do an in-depth video on how to use the search function. I will have some basics on the search functionality towards the end of the video, and then I'll follow up later with some more in-depth stuff on how to use the search and how to not use the search within UpNote. But I wanted to start by talking about importing notes into UpNote from other services. It occurred to me that in the video about creating notes, I talked about the web clipper, I talked about how to create notes within the app and using keyboard shortcuts, global keyboard shortcuts, etc., etc. But I hadn't mentioned that you can actually import notes into Evernote, into UpNote. I say Evernote there almost because obviously there has been news or more sort of rumours of news that there's going to be a major price hike for Evernote soon, and it may well be that because of that you're thinking of switching to another app and you're wondering, is UpNote a potential replacement, and how do I get my notes from Evernote into UpNote? So I wanted to show you a little bit about that today. So I'm on a Mac here. I was hoping yesterday to have a little bit of time on my Windows PC to look at if there's any differences in how you do it within a Windows PC in terms of the process. The functionality is the same. I know that because I've done it in the past, but I just can't remember exactly where the menu options are. I wasn't able to do that, so I'm just going to explain it on a Mac. But rest assured, you can do this on a Windows PC. I just wasn't able to look to see how to do that. It's very simple. You import notes here. In the file menu, import notes, you can see a list of different options for importing there. I'm going to focus on Evernote today, but you can import markdown files. So if you were exporting out of something like Obsidian, for example, you can import straight TXT files. You can even import documents from Microsoft Word or any Office app that can produce a doc or a docx file. And then you can import simple note .json files. But today I'm going to focus on Evernote. You get to this bit here. A couple of things I will say. It does say here importing a large number of notes may affect the app's performance. I'm not really sure what that means. I've never imported, I guess, a large enough number of notes to affect the app's performance when I've done this, and I have imported quite a lot of notes from Evernote in the past. Files larger than 20 megabytes will not be imported, so if you're importing a .enex file, make sure it's less than 20 megabytes, and notes that are longer than 300,000 characters will also not be imported. We'll come back to this in a moment. Right now I'm going to go into Evernote. I've created this sort of test import tag with 94 notes in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export that. Within the current version of Evernote, you can only select up to 100 notes at a time. So you can export entire notebooks if they're more than 100 notes, but doing it this way, you can only select up to 100. So I've selected my 94 notes. I'm going to click export and going to export it as an Enex file. Just keep all the default options. I'm going to export it into I've created a special folder for this. I'm going to export it into that folder, and here we go. It doesn't take very long. It's exported it into a file called My Notes. Obviously you can change that. So that's that done. I'm going to go back into UpNote and I'm going to go to import Evernote. I'm going to select my Enex file, which has appeared in the folder. Now there's a couple of different options here. You can use the file name as the notebook, which is what I'm going to do today to make it simple. You can convert tags from Evernote into notebooks, and it will create a notebook for every tag that you have on the notes that you're importing. And that means that if a note had multiple tags, it will appear in multiple notebooks. Or you can add all of the notes to a pre-existing notebook that you've already got within UpNote. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the file name, so it'll create a new notebook called My Notes. And let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, the new notebook has been created here, and the notes are coming in now. It's not a particularly long process, but obviously it does take a little bit of time to import all of these notes. There's 94. Evernote tasks don't come in to UpNote. What you get is a little sort of quote box in UpNote saying that this feature is not supported, etc., etc. But everything else pretty much does import really, really well. So you've got bullet point lists there. You've got different colors that come in. This is an HTML note in Evernote, and you can see that it's brought that in really well. There are tables as well. Here it is, the tables one. There's the one with the table that I wanted to show you, weekly review and planning. Just get rid of the sidebar there. So the tables come in pretty well too. If my table had a background color, where's the one with the background color? If the table had a background color, that comes in as well, using exactly the same colors from Evernote. It can be a bit tricky. Oh, there we go. All of the 94 notes have come in. It can be a bit tricky if the background color is not one that UpNote uses. Sometimes to change it to something else doesn't really work very well. So you might be stuck with that color, and that's something that I hope they look at in the future, because I can't actually change the background of this at the moment. But there you go. You can see that it's really easy, really straightforward, and actually really effective to import notes out of Evernote and into UpNote. So if you are thinking of looking for a different app, and you're thinking that the price hike of Evernote is potentially going to push you in that direction, then I would highly recommend UpNote as an alternative, and you can export your notes out of Evernote and import them into UpNote. Right, as I said, I wanted to show you some of the brief things that you can do with search within UpNote. So we'll move on to that now. There are four things that I want to show you. The first is a global search. The second is a search within the notebook that you're currently in. And then the third is searching within a note, within a specific note, though I don't use that very often. And then the fourth is creating saved searches or saved filters. And then, as I said, in a later video, I'll go into more detail about the different things you can do with these four different search options. So the first is searching all notes. Now, obviously, you can do that by clicking all notes and then clicking in this search box up here, and that will search in all notes. But if you're in a specific notebook, let's just go back into this one. If you click Command G or Control G on Windows as a keyboard shortcut, it will automatically bring you back to search in all notes. And let's just do a quick search. I've prepared this ahead of time for ClickUp. I've used ClickUp in a former life. It will therefore bring up all of your notes that have the word ClickUp in. One of the things I like about this is obviously it highlights it yellow, which is really easy to see. But if you click on the note, it will take you to the point in the note where ClickUp the word is. It won't just open the note, it'll take you to the exact point where it is. If you wanted to search for a specific tag across all of your notes, now obviously you can go down here and you can click on the tag, or you can do Command G and then you can just start by typing the hashtag and it will bring up any notes with that particular tag. You can search for multiple tags this way, and it will only bring up notes that contain both of those tags that you type in there. I will explain in a moment why you might want to do it this way rather than just clicking on the tag. Suppose you're in a specific notebook. I'm going to go into this sort of productivity notebook that I've got here, and I want to search within that notebook. Then Command or Control F, Command or Control F there will bring up the search for searching in that specific notebook, and anything you do here will only bring up notes from within this particular notebook, like that. If you click on a specific note, let's just do this one that I'm in at the moment, and you do Command or Control Alt and F, it will bring up the search box. So it didn't work there because I already have the search box open. It will bring up the search box to search within the specific note, and then it will just take you to locations within that note where the word you're looking for is mentioned. I will say that compared to some other applications, the search in UpNote, the phrase I would use is it's perfectly serviceable. It does what you need it to. It's not the most amazing search for a notes app that is there on the market at the moment, and it could use some improvement. I would say it's kind of equivalent-ish to the search functions in Microsoft OneNote, although the keyboard shortcuts and things are a little bit more intuitive and a little bit better in UpNote than they are in Microsoft OneNote. However, as I explore in a future video the different ways to use it, I'll show you some different ways that you can use the search functions to make it easier to find what you're looking for. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about today was, as I mentioned, these filters or saved searches up here. Now, these are the 4 pre-built ones, and I'll explain here why you might want to search for a tag rather than clicking on the tag to bring up the notes. So if I come back here, this little 3-dot icon here, one of the options you have there is filter notes. Now, you've got a few different options available. So to do is just notes containing to do items. That will just bring up the same filter as what's already preloaded. Today, notes updated today, again, is a preloaded filter. Uncategorized is a preloaded filter, and shared notes is also a preloaded filter. But this one here, notes containing words, is kind of a filter based on a search. So if I do what I did just a minute ago and type in UpNote and create that filter, that does a search for any notes containing the word UpNote, and it also saves it up here for future reference and for future use as a saved search. You can obviously delete that, but you can also copy a link to it if you want to. And if you've got some saved searches up here that filter out a few different things which you can do, you can then copy a link to that and then just paste that link in a note. And then when you're in that note and you click it, it will bring you back to this particular search. Which is why you might want to use the search rather than clicking on a particular tag. Because if I were to click on my review tag, I can't then filter that. But if I do a search for the tag from my all notes, if I did a search for the tag in all notes, I now can filter it further, and I can, for example, do a search for notes that contain that tag or that word that have uncompleted to-dos or that were updated today, or I can filter it by words or tags like this. I forget I'm on a Mac. And it creates that filter there for you, and then obviously you can delete that. So those are a few of the basics of search there. Obviously the most useful one is that Command G, which does a search through all your notes. That's the one you're going to be using most often, I would have thought. And please stay tuned for a future video where I'll talk through in more detail how you can do that. If you like this video, please do click that like button. Please do share it. A couple of my other videos are going to show up on the screen now. And please do subscribe to this channel. There's more to come. There's much more that this app can do, and many ways in which you can use the features that I've already talked about to get the most benefit out of them. And I'll talk through that in a future episode.